state of West Virginia is Wheeling High School. 1897. We already have Lindsley. Lindsley at that time was 83 years old. Mount Deshawnel was 50 years old. Music heritage. We have a conservatory of music. There are only two symphony orchestras in West Virginia. There's the West Virginia Symphony out of Charleston, and there's the Wheeling Symphony. And the reason we have the Wheeling Symphony is you have this German music heritage. You know, the Arbenz family opened up the Conservatory of Music up on 15th Street. Public recreation. Now, forget about Ogilvy Park, because it doesn't exist yet. But you've got Mozart Park, okay? You've got Wheeling or Hornbrook Park, and you've got the State Fair. Now think about what West Virginia looks like and where Wheeling is in that northern panhandle, and the State Fair is in Wheeling from 1880 to 1941. Which is probably the last time any of us went to a state fair, because we're not going to go to Lewisburg to see the state fair. But we have it here.
Was it at Wheeling Park?
No, it was on the island. That, what's the old roller rink was one of the last constructions. Not only do we have the park, we have professional sports. Oh, no, not the Ironman, that's too late. We're talking about baseball. In the Tri-State League, we play teams from Dayton, most of Columbus area. We had a very rich baseball history here. We also had the Wheeling Wheelmen. We had road races through Wheeling. In the beginning of the 20th century, long before there was the 20K race. In fact, I have a photograph showing some runner coming down the backside of Chicken Neck Hill. George, you have that photograph too? Okay. And then you had what are called the Turners, or the Turnverein. It was an exercise group of Germans. And the Turner Hall was next to the March building. It was that church building that was up there. I think they just tore it down. But the Turnverein was a group of people who would get together and do physical exercises, like we do at Wellness Center. Except these we would invite the public to. And we have records of audiences of 1,000 or more people to come to watch people do juggling acts. Not juggling, but what do you call those medicine Indian clubs and calisthenics. Hey, tomorrow night I'm going to do jumping jacks. And boy, I can't wait for that. Boat clubs. The Brett Carney's book of photos on the history of Wheeling, there's one in there of a couple of boat clubs that says, courtesy of Ogilvy Park, or Ogilvy Mansion. Well, actually, that's not true. It's courtesy of me. I gave them to Ogilvy, and next thing I know, I'm over them courtesy of what? But there were... And what was a boat club? A boat club was a place where a German guy could go get away from the missus, sit around and do what men like to do when they sit around. Drink beer and tell stories. And smoke. Okay? And chew tobacco. Okay? We have a resort, Stratford Springs Resort. We used to advertise that in Wheeling. Come to Woodsdale for the Stratford Springs experience. Because remember, Stratford Springs will burn before Woodsdale is ever part of Wheeling. And if you know where Stratford Place is in Woodsdale, it's right up on that hill. And it was like many of those places, it bottled its own spring water. And if you want to know exactly where it was, go up at Blockbuster and look straight down, you'll be looking down Woodlawn Lane. And where Woodlawn Lane disappears all the way over to Edgewood, that's back there is where it was. We had a Labor Day parade. We don't have any Labor Day parades anymore. In the late 19th, early 20th century, the Labor Day parades in Wheeling would take 2.5 to 3 hours. There would literally be thousands of people. In 1890, they had a Labor Day parade in Steubenville. In Wheeling, labor people rented 8 railroad cars that they took north to Wheeling Junction, which is the south part of where it switched, went across the bridge, came in, and fully dressed with all kinds of little memorabilia that would show, red, white, and blue, miniature cigars, and girls dressed up like Indians pulling little cigar things. And when I read the story of it, it said that Governor McKinley was there, but nobody paid attention to Governor McKinley because of all these labor people who had come up from Wheeling and their dress, and they had just kind of taken over. But it was just a wonderful celebration. And then they would adjourn over to one of the parks and have this huge picnic. I estimated at one time that 1/2 of the entire population of Wheeling would have been at the Labor Day celebration at the fairgrounds because of the estimates that were listed there. So if you want to look at it in terms of economy, in terms of education, in terms of quality of life, in terms of residents, this is how we describe Wheeling in the Federal Writers Project in 1940. Wheeling is the manufacturing and commercial center of the northern panhandle, and it sprawls T-shaped along the narrow valleys of the Ohio and Wheeling Creek. Okay? And south of the business district, on the banks of the rivers and creeks, are the long sheds of steel mills and iron mills and manufacturing. And from their stacks rolls a constant cloud of smoke that settles heavily in soot over the tenement houses that are there. And this is my favorite, incessant activity in the business district. I'll repeat that in case you've never heard that before. Incessant activity in the business district marks Wheeling as more akin to its neighbor cities of Ohio and Pennsylvania than to the more leisurely placed cities of West Virginia. Or you'll like this one. Wheeling, with its throngs of shoppers, its traffic-filled streets, and the variety and abundance of its cultural and recreational facilities, appears to be a larger city than its population figures indicate. Wheeling, more than any other West Virginia city, has developed a civic consciousness characteristic of a long settled metropolitan areas. And I think you would be surprised when at the end of this little article they mention the fact that, just to give you an instance, theaters and motion picture houses, there are 12 motion picture houses in Wheeling in 1940. 12. How many are there today in Wheeling?
Well,
Town game. Okay. 7 hotels. If you ever have a chance, I don't know if you're familiar with the National Writers Project. It was part of the Works Progress Administration of the New Deal. It put to work unemployed historians. And every state had a book. West Virginia's came out a little later than most because one of our senators or congressmen thought that there was something about communism in it.